Here is the English translation of the text you provided. What is the mind? What is the mind? On December 21st, 2016, Do Kwang Nguyen asked, Master, please explain to me what the mind is. Does the mind belong to the five aggregates? And if so, which aggregate does it belong to? Because I often try to focus on a peaceful mind, a calm mind, etc., but I don't really understand what the mind is. Also, there are times when I feel desire or anger arise within me, and Here is the English translation of the text you provided. What is the mind? What is the mind? On December 21st, 2016, Do Kwang Nguyen asked, Master, please explain to me what the mind is. Does the mind belong to the five aggregates? And if so, which aggregate does it belong to? Because I often try to focus on a peaceful mind, a calm mind, etc., but I don't really understand what the mind is. Also, there are times when I feel desire or anger arise within me, and I immediately focus on dispelling them. If it doesn't work the first time, I try again a second time, a third time. If that still doesn't work, I focus my mind on the breath to expel them. Is this correct, or am I using my consciousness to suppress the mind? I thank you, Master. Wishing you always peace, happiness, and safety. It is quite funny and embarrassing. From ancient times until today, life has been so difficult, with suffering in both material and spiritual aspects, that many people turn to religion to escape from suffering. Internally, they are tormented and troubled. Materially, they face poverty and lack even the basic comforts. They hope to practice in order to achieve a peaceful and humble life, living out their human lives peacefully. The Buddha, Siddhartha Gautama, went to practice and discovered the answers to why human beings suffer due to birth, aging, sickness, and death. He also discovered practices that individuals can adopt based on their own nature. When practicing correctly, one can transcend the cycle of birth and rebirth, never again experiencing the suffering of human existence. The Buddha taught that humans possess five aggregates: form, feeling, perception, volition, and consciousness. He explained in detail so that practitioners could better understand themselves. However, as he taught each individual monk personally and did not allow them to record his teachings, it wasn't until some time after his death that the monks compiled the scriptures. The Nikaya scriptures were written based on teachings to individual monks, but they did not specify exactly where each monk started their practice, how they practiced, or what fruits they attained. As a result, later generations were left in confusion, each person interpreting the teachings according to their own understanding, leading to misunderstandings and division among different schools. The majority of people prayed aimlessly to gods for peace. Monks bowed their heads, following illusions without truly understanding themselves. The Buddha taught, "Return to yourself. If you are sick, you must take your own medicine. If you are suffering, you must practice for yourself." Fortunately, in this age, there is Arahat THÍCH THANH THIện, who revived the true Buddhist teachings, and Master THÍCH THANH THIện has generously explained the teachings clearly in Vietnamese. The teacher explained, "Understand yourself. You are the king. Consciousness is the prime minister. Perception is the flatterer. The mind is the child. The mind is like a child, innocent and easily influenced. If perception indulges and stimulates the mind's desires, the mind will follow the perception. Therefore, the Buddha taught us to use proper mental intentions to train the mind towards good practices. Once the mind becomes accustomed to living in goodness, it will naturally incline towards peace and serenity." Regarding the method of mental intention, for those who have not practiced, simply let thoughts arise naturally. When the mind generates unwholesome thoughts, it can direct a firm intention to stop them. For long-time practitioners, using proper intention, gradually becoming proficient with basic practices, the mind will more easily undergo transformation. It is important to understand the difference between meditation and concentration. Meditation is the peaceful practice of Buddhist teachings, allowing the teachings to gradually penetrate the mind, helping one recognize inner peace. Concentration occurs when the teachings have deeply entered the mind, illuminating it, surpassing both consciousness and perception. At that point, insight into liberation arises, and the practitioner achieves concentration and enters a deeper spiritual realm. The mind is not included in the five aggregates, but is a separate function, though it frequently interacts with the four aggregates: form, feeling, perception, and volition. The consciousness aggregate does not function when the mind is peaceful. Therefore, in training the mind, one must be patient, use correct mental intention, and practice regularly to achieve true peace. Summary of core content. The concept of the mind. The mind is a separate function, not part of the five aggregates, but it is closely related to the four aggregates: form, feeling, perception, volition. The mind is like a child, easily influenced by perception, the flatterer, and consciousness, the prime minister. The Buddha's teaching on suffering and liberation. The Buddha discovered the root causes of suffering: birth, aging, sickness, death, and introduced practices that help individuals transcend samsara and attain inner peace. Proper mental intention. This is the method of using consciousness to guide and train the mind towards virtuous practices. The mind must be regularly trained through short mental intentions, helping practitioners control their minds and not be dragged by desires and delusions. The difference between meditation and concentration. Meditation is the preparation phase, where Buddhist teachings slowly saturate the mind through stillness and reflection. Concentration is the higher state, when the teachings have entered the mind and insight into liberation arises, leading to clarity beyond both perception and consciousness. Personal practice. The Buddha teaches that each person must practice and fight against their own desires and suffering. Do not rely on prayers or external support. The role of teachers and teachings. Teachers like THÍCH THANH THIệN and THÍCH THANH THIện help practitioners understand the Buddha's teachings, but each person must practice for themselves to achieve liberation. The content emphasizes returning to oneself, understanding the mind, and practicing correctly to achieve peace and enlightenment. Let me know if you need further clarification.